first of all, this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here, Yeshiva Tsama Nafshi, here a week before Purim in Yerushalayim, Yer Kodesh, not too far from the central bus station, so you're welcome to walk, drive, take a bus. Coming from Kutz Lawrence, please join us for our shiur. This is our second shiur in the morning, about 9:30, quarter to 10 or so, and we're learning Mishna Berura, Hilchos Purim. And we have a question from Amram, one of our devoted and most chashuv Talmidim.
Amen.
Go ahead. What's the question?
The question is this. The chiyuv to drink.
Yeah.
Ad lo yada.
Right.
So now the question becomes, but you can't forget benching, you can't forget mitzvah, you can't forget martyr,
Right.
you have to all the mitzvahs.
Right.
And let's be realistic.
Right.
A person gets to that point. Is he going to really work on himself that he's going to do these things? Okay, that mental before the Suda, I understand.
That you're obligated to do. You've got to do
Well,
that.
not really, because we learned that you can also have it in the morning. You know,
Yeah, well, that because that's not mincha yet, right?
Okay,
That's not mincha.
So,
Correct.
so you have, you daven mincha, you come to the Suda, and you start drinking.
Right.
Okay, now I don't know about here in America, you start about 2-3 hours before nightfall, and you go right into nightfall, right?
Right.
Because for them it's not a problem because it's just tetvav anyway, so they just continue into the night. And they're drinking, and unless the bottles are coming out.
Right.
Okay, there's 10, 15 people in that room, they have a million. Let's be realistic.
Right.
They're not in any shape to even bench, daven, mar, but it would probably be a bisoin. So what is this? There's a contradiction of drinking and keeping mitzvahs.
Okay.
It should be a day. You're drinking, okay, it's a day you don't have to keep the mitzvahs. You know,
Right.
but if you have to do both,
Right.
not everybody can separate. Especially we see, you know, today Baruch Hashem, Purim is a day for the Yeshiva guys to let it all out.
So
Baruch
not
Hashem.
just these you guys. Balabatim also.
Okay, so it's a day to release it. But how do you combine it?
Now, there's two ways of approaching your question. One theoretically and one lamaisa. Okay, so theoretically, first you have to realize that really what's going on in Purim with wine and with keeping the mitzvahs is really just a microcosm of a person's life in this world. Okay, this is how I'll explain. This is how Scheinberg's is how I'll explain it to us. That you have to realize that this world can drag a person down. Okay, it can drag a person down. He can get very involved with everything that's, you know, all the pleasures of this world, and he can spend his every moment of his life in this world simply going from one pleasure to the next. Right? And that's all he's going to accomplish. At the end of his life, he's going to have one pleasure after the next. But what's he going to? Where's that going to get him in the next world? Right? And say, okay, wow, you had all this pleasure and all of that. So now you're coming to the world of spiritual achievement and accomplishment. So what do you got to prove for yourself? Right? So instead of going up, he goes down, and that's it. And that sort of explains what's going down, what's going to Gehenna. Gehenna is regret. The fire is real or not real, that's another story. It's just simply regret. They say, you just wasted your time, Charlie. Right? You were here, Hashem gave you a life in this world, that world you used to be in, and now you wasted your time. Right? What are you going to do? You can't go back in general. Sometimes they do send people back and things like that, but it's better to take the heat. I've been taught than rather going back. Who says you're going to be more successful the second time around? Right? You messed up the first time. Who says you're going to make it the second time? Right? So, a person's coming into this world. He has obligations. He's got a shulchan aruch to fulfill. Right? But just because there are pleasures in this world, that means you're part of shulchan aruch. Right? You can say, I was involved with Hanas Olam Hazeh. I was involved with the pleasure of this world so much I didn't have time to mekayim the shulchan aruch. Right? Didn't have time to learn Chumash and Rashi, Shas, Mishnayos. Didn't have time for all these things. What were you so busy with? It boils down to Hanas Olam Hazeh. You wanted pleasure in this world, so you got pleasure in this world. But again, you can't do much of this. That currency doesn't exist over here. Right? So the same thing with Purim. In a microcosm, in a one-day shot, that's what you're facing. You're facing a simulation of Olam Hazeh in one day. You have to, right, fulfill all your mitzvahs, and you have to drink as well, and you have to make them both work. Now, Chazal say the Avos were like Susim Rotzim al Bitzei Amayim. The Avos, Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, they were like horses running along mud flats. If you know anything about a horse, and if you know anything about a mud flat, they don't mix. Right? A horse cannot run in mud. Right? The biggest proof you have is Paro. when it came into the Yam Suf, what did Kadosh Baruch Hu do? Right, we came through, the Jews came through on the Yam B'Yabasha, we came through the ocean on the dry land. The Mitzrayim came in following us. The first thing Kadosh Baruch Hu did, he turned the seabed into mud, right? Turned it into mud, so they stopped in their tracks. The chariots, the horses, the soldiers, they stopped in their tracks. Right? It's known. You can ask Steve. He's interested in military history. When it rains, right? Even as well as that, when it rains, the war's over. The battle stops because no one's moving. Can't move in mud. An army can't move in mud. It stops. Right? Nothing moves. So the Avos were like horses running along the mud flats, meaning they were going through this world at such a rate, right, that so fast, right, that they went through this world, even though it was a world of mud, but nevertheless they were running so fast, they hardly touched the mud. They only touched the mud enough to keep moving, right, but not to get stuck in this world. So that's what we have to do. We have to somehow, right, reach those levels of, like we saw, you start drinking, you're a lamb, a little lamb, you turn into a lion, you have to remain in a lion. If you go too far, you can turn into Chazir. If you go farther enough.
You can't do the mitzvah according to Shulchan Aruch ad lo yada if you're a lion. According to Shulchan Aruch ad lo yada.
Maybe you can't, maybe you can't.
No, you can't.
So
I disagree with you. You've been a bartender, I'm telling you. Ad lo yada is not a lion. When you start being a chazer, you can do it. Ad lo yada is start being a chazer.
Okay,
He's a caterer. You're not. Drinking. If you just have a drink or two, it's like a lion. Then you go to become a lion because you feel strong. Then you become a pig because you start, and then you become a monkey because you can't keep your mouth shut. Okay, that's what we learn. So the thing is like this. So he's saying that if you drink a little, okay, you become one or two shots, then you become a lion. So at the blind, you can tell it. You can't tell the difference. I'm saying I disagree. If it says in Shulchan Aruch that you cannot be. You have to don't know the difference between you have to be beyond the line. That means you have to be at a pig style of drinking, or you have to be at a monkey where you're already talking nonsense, right? Because when you're strong like that, you're not going to have the separation.
If you're drinking, though.
We're talking about drinking. We're talking about people who are drinking. Okay. Right? So to say that at a line you stop and you have that mitzvah, I think that's not going. You're not drinking. I mean, I don't drink, so it doesn't matter. I'm just about to say, but people who drink. Yeah. I mean, I know. I mean, I've seen it.
We're not, we're not 7, 8 year old. We've been around Purim. We've seen what goes on Purim.
So I'm saying no, but it's a contradiction in halacha. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm trying to find the.
Okay, so maybe you convinced me. We're gonna have to get Chelik Base and do it today. Okay, so let's get Chelik Base.
Rabbi, we have a bottle. Do we want to do a live testing?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'll get the measure.
I'm sorry that
if you have a couple of darshers, if you have a couple of thank you, referee.
I'm sorry that.
No, I mean this is a question that all the posting are dealing with. They're dealing with.
Especially the Yeshiva, the kids go to the house and they give them to drink like crazy. They know that they're not. They may not even get to the Suda. Most Rosh Yeshivas today give drink. There's very few that don't give drink.
I had a boy in my house 2 years ago. Like 15 boys came, Yeshiva boys to the house in the middle of the meal, but having mincha.
Passed out?
No, and one of the guys is a coin. He said to him, he's the mishpacha shalom, the iratika, Rav Shlomo coin. And we said, what? So we're in the middle of mincha, and he goes up to say duchen, right? Right? And we come at Talis, and he goes up and the guys finished. In the middle, and he turns around and he's in the middle and he's behind it, and they take off his talis and he keeps going. There's no talis on it. The camera, everything's there's pictures, it's unbelievable.
No, but I'm saying that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, we have a concept of following halacha, like you said, right? And we have a concept of getting drunk through that. We have there's in the world today, it happened in your time, my time, and everybody's time. There were shivas and the rabbis give to drinks. Some of these guys never make it to the Suda. By the afternoon, they're gone for 24
What
hours.
you have to do, you have to daven beforehand. You have
I'm not
to do it
disagreeing
in the
with you.
morning.
I'm not.
Nobody has to know your wife.
You're
You
right.
sit in the
You're
house, you wash your hands,
Okay.
eat a piece of bread.
But that's not what happens. Let's be realistic. That's not what happens. What happens is, I'm saying there's a contradiction in halakha. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm trying to figure out how you combine these two together, right?
Okay, so we'll
The
see.
drinking,
That's
and the
somebody
keeping the
got it.
mitzvahs.
Very good. So look, we're gonna learn about the Mishna, what he says about Birkas Hamazon and drinking. Thank you. This is in the Kuf Pei Hey, right?
Pay hay?
Yeah. Shulchan Kuf Pei Hey.
Exactly.
What does that even mean, keeping the mitzvahs?
Benching, davening,
Okay, is it?
Saying brachas.
saying brachas.
All right. So what happens if you're good all the way up to the point that you're starting to get hammered? And you go ahead and get hammered. You pass out. You wake up and you finish your day.
Okay, that's okay. But people don't drink like that on Purim. You've been here in this community for Purim?
Once.
Okay, so keep looking around, okay? People don't stop I'm talking about young kids most.
But
They don't stop
Until they're finished.
until they're finished. And when they're finished,
And
they
then
need
the rest of the day's
they're
wrecked.
24 hours to
Okay.
recuperate.
All right,
That's what we're talking
all right.
about.
That's what we're talking about. All right, so now I understand what we're saying now.
I saw a guy a few years ago in the Tsama. She was Erev Shabbos, and the wife is standing by the mikveh. Everybody's coming from shul on Erev Shabbos, and the wife is standing next to her husband. He's laying on the floor trying to get to the mikveh because he said maybe he'll get into the water and he'll feel better. And he passed out outside the mikveh, and she's crying over there. He said, "Come on, Shabbos," and she's ashamed.
Okay. Kuf Pei Hey, Siv Dalet. Kuf Pei Hey, Siv Dalet.
Is that Simon Kuf Pei Hey or Kuf Pei Hey is the page number?
No, it's Siman actually. Siman Kuf Pei Hey.
Kuf.
Yeah, like
I meant Ayin. Where's Pei?
next,
After Ayin?
after, yes.
Okay.
Siv Dalet.
Still Kuf Ayin.
Take your time.
And you
Kuf Pei.
Aleph, now you go to hay.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Take it.
No problem.
Simon
Got it.
Siv Dalet. Siman
Siv
Kuf Pei Hey,
Dalet.
Siv Dalet.
Sif Dalid.
Okay. Avram, you asked the question, you can answer it.
אפילו נתקשר כל כך, עד שאינו יכול לדבר כראוי, יכול לבר ברכת המזון. If a person gets drunk, that he so much that he can't speak so much, so he's mumbling.
He's mumbling. The cop pulls him over and says, "What's your name?" He doesn't have to have a test. He's not gonna
He can say bרכת המזון. You see, here, my question is beyond this. My question is a philosophical question. Maybe it's not a lucky question. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
A person is so drunk, he's not even realizing that there's benching.
Hold on. First of all, you have another question. If he can't say the words, what kind of benchings does he say? He can't say Elokeinu. He says,
Can you start the translation over?
Yeah.
If he prays what?
even if a person will be drunk,
Right.
kol kach so much, ad, until she'enu yoichel, he's not able ledaber, to speak Hebrew properly. He cannot speak properly. You
Okay.
ever meet a guy like that? He's drunk, he can't speak
In our
properly.
business,
Sure.
Yeah. Yochel levorech birkas hamazon. He's able to.
No, not Yachas, sorry.
What?
Yichol. It doesn't say Yitzrich levarech.
You know, yochel levorech.
You can.
What?
Right.
Yichol.
I'm the wrong line. Wrong line. Sorry, wrong line. Wrong line. I'm sorry, wrong line.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
he says he can.
You
Right.
can't.
He can. He's not saying whether he should, right? But
He can.
He can.
It says Yichol. It doesn't say Tzrich.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see the Mishna Berura. Mishna Berura here in Sif Dalet. So Yom Dalet.
Yachal levar b'kat hamazon. Dichtiv, because it's written. V'achata v'savata v'rachta. You should eat, you should be satisfied, and you should touch.
That's so included in that. That's a verse from the Torah. Achalta v'savatu v'rachta.
Right.
Right.
V'afilo medumdam. Even if it's scattered.
Medumdam is like even though he's groggy. He's it's better word for drunk. A person who's medumdam. better word for a person who's, he's not exactly drunk so much.
Inebriated.
Unconscious.
Not unconscious, no,
Inebriated.
we'll get to that.
Inebriated. That's drunk.
He's tipsy. Tipsy. He's tipsy. That's the word. He's tipsy. Feeling tipsy. Feeling tipsy. Now, ask guy what's tipsy. Okay, well, there's only one way to know. You gotta drink this, and we'll tell you when you're tipsy.
Perish Eino Yachal Adava Karai. A comment explaining that he cannot speak regularly.
Right, so a person's tipsy. He can't speak properly. Right.
Mish v'savata the dait yek le, and because of savata, you have to be
We're being analytical.
Analytical.
Meaning, when it says v'yechalta, so eating's fine, okay? V'savata, so what's v'savata? So they're explaining, achalta is one thing. You have to this is the verse upon which the obligation of Birkas Hamazon rests. Benching after the meal is based upon this pasuk. V'yechalta v'savata v'rata. You shall eat, and you shall be sovea, whatever that means, right? This is in general satisfied, right? And once you've eaten and once you're satisfied, then you have an obligation to eat, to bench. So eating is one thing. So what's savata, right? So the medayek, they're making an analysis on this extra expression in the Torah of the savata. Dayek iklo. With dayek did that what?
Shematsu kamapam shachas sevia ha'adam omet. Wow, that we find many times that after a person is satisfied, he is drunk. Va'afilo hachi chivaitu aTorah levachim. The Torah made it a chiyuv from to become mazon. See later what we wrote about this.
Right, so you see that they're learning that the Torah is commanding you, even though you've been drinking, you've been eating, you've been drinking, and that's the way it was. You know, we're not used to this type of thing, but eating and drinking. When Esther made a Mishna, everyone knew, Achashverosh and Haman knew what they were getting themselves into. They're going to be eating and they're going to be drinking. When Achashverosh made a Suda for 180 days, right, it was called a Mishna. They knew they were going to be eating and then they were drinking. They weren't serving Coca-Cola and tea. Right? And the 7 days after that was not Coca-Cola and tea. It was the real stuff. Right?
Did they make it more?
Huh?
Did they make it more? 6 months of drinking?
Maybe it's just the opposite. Maybe we're not looking at it the right way. So if you say that somebody drinks, that's the day that he gets the ruchaniyut chazak, and he's yeshev tov. I mean, he knows what he's doing. When he says Birkat Hamazon, maybe he doesn't always say the words right.
Right.
But maybe in his heart, zeha et ratzon, that he opens himself up maybe better.
Yeah. But the question is, if he
But
can't.
depends how much of it is finished.
We'll get to that's what Mishna says. Ayin the kaima and masha kasav is. There's more to come. We're not done with this yet. Okay? So, but the question still remains: if you can't say the words, how can you bet? What Birkas Hamazon is a nusach habracha. How you can't say the words, you can't talk properly. It could be maybe that sometimes a person will be stuttering. He'll be repeating himself. He'll have to correct his he's slurring his words and things like this. But so he'll manage. He'll have to push himself through to do it. But if he's not saying the words, so I can't understand how it's Birkas Hamazon. So we still need to understand a little bit more about that. But let's see.
Because I think that the answer is with what he brings down on the deal, that the savata means that you're going to be drunk. So therefore that's why you have a chiyuv when you're drunk, even if you don't have the words. Mm-hmm. Because he's saying, the way I understand is the savata. And they're saying that after Sevilla, a person is drunk. So then the chiyuv from the Torah is that even if you're drunk, you have to bench, which is different for tefillah. You don't have that word for tefillah. You have it only for benching. So tefillah, there's a problem. Drunk, you can't get chaz and 10 down. It makes sense because there's no. But here,
standing for the king, tefillah.
Here benching too. Benching is doraita.
You're not standing for the king.
What are you talking about? This is doraita. Shmoneh Esrei is not doraita. You have to take it. It may not be saying it, but I'm saying benching is from the Torah directly.
Right. But included, since it says that's part being that situation of being medam and being tipsy.
That's right.
Again, we're going to get to the next level. We're being tipsy. We're not talking about being
drunk.
completely ois kalim. His mom is out of his mind.
Like that.
He's happy.
You're talking about being tipsy. He's being tipsy, right? He can't daven like you say. Davening is also. He davens like if he can't speak before a king. Even a revis yain he can't daven.
Right.
Revis. Okay. Yeah, you had a question, Mr. General?
Ask. Don't be afraid. Look how many questions I ask.
You know, one of the first things I ever read, okay, it's like I come from not knowing anything, and one of the first things I ever read was Zohar. And even though it's an English translation, it still taught me things that are not necessarily readily available. One of the things that I learned is that benching is not for us individually. Benching is for the universe. So number one, when we're talking about davening and standing before the king, you're literally 3 steps back. Okay. That's really kind of for Klal Yisrael, and you're absolutely standing in front. You don't want to be in that condition. Okay. If you're doing a benching, which is for the rest of the universe, so the bounty can feed the trees and make the grass grow and do all the other things that Hashem set up the universe to do, so that that blessing can come down. There's an inner voice, and I don't think our inner voice gets tipsy. So when we're doing Birkas Hamazon, we have a connection with Hashem to provide the bounty for the universe. It comes from the heart.
Right.
So I don't see the discrepancy.
Okay, so there is definitely a difference between prayer and Birkas Hamazon.
Right.
Birkas Hamazon is saying thank you to the Rebbeinu Shalom, to the Creator. We ate and we drank and we had a good time. We were full. We started our meal. We were hungry and thirsty, and now after we ate and we drank, and now we're full and satisfied. We have an obligation, midoraisa, right? A Torah commandment to thank the Rebbeinu Shalom, who created everything that we just enjoyed. And if we don't, that's like you went into a restaurant, you ate, and you pulled out, you ran off, you didn't pay your bill. It's even worse. Right? As you eat and drink and you don't pay your bill. Right?
It's not going to rain next week. It's supposed to rain. It's not going to rain. You're going to go to the restaurant. It's going to be closed.
That's right. The restaurant went bankrupt because people who run off, they don't pay their bills. So where you can eat now, it's hacham.